Get your ass in the car. Get your ass in the car. Get your ass in the car.
2, 3.
I just feel sick to my stomach. Like, I can't get no rest. I just keep thinking about her. She was say I love him. I don't want to leave him like everybody else leave him. It's been eating me up. She don't deserve that. Like, she was a good person.
The shooting of a victim is wrong. The shooting of a police officer is wrong. It will not be tolerated, and we will waste no resources in bringing you into custody.
This is 27-year-old Aleka Simmons, a young mother from Atlanta, Georgia. A woman who did everything she was told to do to survive an abusive relationship, only to be killed hours after begging for help on a 911 call. Just after midnight on July 31st, 2019, police were dispatched to an apartment on the 4800 block of Hodgson Corners Cove in Lithonia after Aleka called 911 in fear. But when officers arrived, the home was quiet, the lights were off, there were no obvious signs of violence, and without making contact with Aleka, police left. Minutes later, a single gunshot echoed through the apartment. Aleka was found inside the bedroom, shot at close range. She was pronounced dead at the scene. She was just 27 years old. But the violence didn't end there. As officers returned to the address, the man responsible stepped outside and opened fire, unloading 19 rounds at police, striking one officer 4 times before fleeing into the night. And as investigators would soon learn, Aleka's killing was not sudden, it was not unpredictable, and it was not without warning. But before we unravel how everything went fatal, we need to go back to who Aleka Simmons was, the life she was fighting to hold together, and the relationship that ultimately cost her everything. This is the life and death of Aleka Simmons.
Hi, everybody. It's so pretty in ATL, Atlanta. Yeah, East Atlanta. I miss New York. We used to be on a block like this. I know niggas on the block like this, New York. Like, what's up? What's good?
Aleka Simmons was born in 1992, making her 27 years old at the time her life was cut short. While much of her early childhood remained private, what is known paints the picture of a young woman who did not grow up with the stability many children take for granted. Aleka was originally from Queens, New York, and later moved to Atlanta, Georgia, a transition that marked a significant shift in her life. Aleka Simmons' upbringing was unstable. She was not raised by her biological parents, and her relationships with extended family were often strained. That early instability shaped her independence, forcing her to grow up quickly and rely on herself long before she was ready. By her early 20s, Aleka had stepped fully into self-reliance. She worked multiple jobs, housekeeping, construction, and later a management role at Neiman Marcus, doing whatever was necessary to support herself and her child.
This is what I do besides strip. I clean houses. Feel me? That's what I do. To this area. That's what I do.
These weren't easy jobs, but Aleka was never ashamed of the work she did. She was open about her grind and unapologetic about how she survived, including her work as a stripper. For Aleka, it wasn't secrecy, it was autonomy. She understood the risks, but she also understood control in a world that had offered her few safety nets. At the center of everything was her role as a mother. Motherhood mattered deeply to Aleka, shaping nearly every decision she made. Those who knew her described her as fiercely protective and deeply loving, determined that her child would never feel abandoned or unsupported the way she once had. And it was during this period, balancing work, survival, and motherhood, that Aleka became involved with the man who would ultimately change the course of her life. That man was Otis Dennis Walker. Otis was 32 years old at the time, living with his mother in Lithonia, Georgia. Their relationship began like many others do, with passion, attention, and intensity. In the beginning, Otis appeared to be someone Aleka could lean on, someone who offered companionship and emotional closeness. She would visit him often, sometimes staying overnight at his mother's apartment before returning home the next day. To Aleka, the relationship felt like an escape from the constant grind of survival. It offered connection, affection, and the promise of partnership. At first, there were moments that felt genuine. The early phase of their relationship was marked by closeness, long conversations, and emotional intensity. Aleka invested deeply, the way she always did. When she loved fully.
Get your ass in the car. Get your ass in the car. Get your ass in the car.
2, 3.
Friends later recalled that she seemed hopeful during this time, like she believed this relationship might finally give her a sense of emotional stability. And for a while, it looked like it might. But little did Aleka know the foundation of that relationship was already fragile. As time passed, the intensity that once felt exciting began to shift. Arguments became more frequent. Disagreements escalated quickly. What started as verbal fights soon turned physical. Otis had a temper, one that surfaced without warning and burned hot. People close to the couple noticed the volatility. Some believed Otis was the primary aggressor. Others felt the relationship itself was toxic on both sides. But nearly everyone agreed on one thing. Otis had deep-rooted anger issues, something that would reveal his dark past. Otis's anger issues weren't limited to the relationship. He had documented violent behavior. Prior arrests included charges as aggravated assault and family violence. Police had been called to his residence multiple times because of domestic disputes. These weren't isolated incidents, they were patterns, and Aleka was now living inside that pattern. Despite the red flags, Aleka would make one big mistake that would cost her everything. She stayed longer than she should have, not because she didn't recognize the danger, but because leaving is rarely simple, especially when love, attachment, and hope are involved. She believed she could manage the situation, that things might calm down, that the worst moments didn't define the whole relationship. She tried to see the good. She tried to hold on to the version of Otis she met at the beginning, and for a while, she convinced herself that the bad moments were temporary. But by late July 2019, the violence had become impossible to ignore. Just days before the devastating culmination of Otis's violence, police arrested him after he was caught pushing and dragging Aleka during a physical altercation. The incident was serious enough to send him to jail overnight, but Aleka would yet again make one more mistake, not knowing it would be the last one she will ever make in her life. The very next day after Otis was arrested, Aleka paid his bail. To outsiders, that decision was difficult to understand, but for Aleka, it reflected the complexity of abusive relationships, where fear, love, guilt, and hope collide. She believed bailing him out might calm things down, that it might de-escalate the situation, that maybe this time things would change. But that decision would haunt her. Otis did not see the arrest as a wake-up call. Instead, it fueled his resentment. The night he spent in jail only deepened his anger. He was furious, not remorseful. And while Aleka believed she was helping someone she cared about, Otis was quietly spiraling. Still, Aleka tried to move forward. She continued working. She continued doing what she had always done, surviving. But the relationship had crossed a line. The volatility was no longer manageable. The danger was no longer theoretical. And that's when everything began to shift. Because the man Aleka believed she could help was already becoming someone she needed protection from. And that realization would soon place her at the center of a storm she never saw coming. On the night of July 31st, 2019, everything Aleka had been trying to hold together finally collapsed. It was late, just past midnight, when Aleka was inside the apartment on the 4800 block of Hodgson Corners Cove in Lithonia, Georgia, the home where Otis lived with his mother. This wasn't an unfamiliar territory. Aleka had stayed there many times before, often believing that proximity and patience could keep the peace. But this night felt different. The tension that had been building for months, really years, was no longer simmering. It was boiling over. Sometime after midnight, Aleka made the first of several calls to 911. Her voice, recorded and later played in court, was shaky and strained. She identified herself clearly. Then she said something that would later haunt everyone who heard it. "If anything happens to me." Her sentence trailed off, not because she had finished her thought, but an argument erupted in the background. What happened next was nothing short of chilling. The dispatcher could hear Aleka confronting Otis directly. Her voice cracked as she asked him questions no one should ever have to ask. "Are you threatening me?" Then moments later, she said, "Are you going to kill me?" The fear in her voice was unmistakable. But after that, the call abruptly went silent. That call alone should have signaled imminent danger. In response, police from the DeKalb County Police Department were dispatched to the address on the 4800 block of Hodgdon Corners Cove in Lithonia. But when they arrived, the house appeared quiet and dark. The loud chaos that could be heard from the 911 call was nowhere to be seen at the scene. There weren't arguments happening, nothing. And so, with no immediate signs of violence and no direct contact with Aleka, police left. Minutes later, a single gunshot echoed through the apartment. Aleka was found inside the bedroom, shot at close range. She was pronounced dead at the scene. She was just 27 years old. But the violence didn't end there. Shortly after police left, Sharon Walker, Otis's mother, was awakened by a younger family member who told her police had just been there. Alarmed, Sharon went to check on Aleka and Otis. She found them in Otis's bedroom, still arguing. The tension was thick, the kind that signals something is about to break. Sensing that the situation was spiraling out of control, Sharon tried to intervene. She offered to give Aleka a ride home, hoping distance might diffuse what words clearly could not. Aleka, shaken and exhausted, appeared ready to leave. Sharon stepped away briefly to grab her car keys, and in that small window of time, just moments, everything ended. A single gunshot echoed through the apartment. Sharon ran back toward the bedroom. When she opened the door, she found Aleka shot and critically wounded. The scene was chaotic and horrifying. Aleka had been hit at close range. There was nothing anyone inside the apartment could do to save her. Panicked and terrified, Sharon fled the home with the younger family members and ran to a neighbor's house to get help. From there, she called 911 again. But the night was far from over. Officers, including Officer Derek Nunn, who had responded earlier, were dispatched back to the same address. As they approached the front yard of the home on Hodgdon Corners Cove, Otis Dennis Walker emerged and opened fire. He fired 19 rounds. Officer Nunn was struck 4 times. Despite his injuries, he survived and was rushed to Grady Memorial Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia, where he underwent emergency surgery and remained hospitalized for nearly a week. Meanwhile, Otis fled the scene on foot, disappearing into the nearby wooded area. By the time officers secured the residence, Aleka Simmons was dead. She was just 27 years old.
All right, at 12:30 a.m., DeKalb police responded to a person shot call at 4804 Hodgdon Corners Cove. Upon arrival, officers were immediately fired upon by an unknown suspect hiding between 2 residences. Officers returned fire. One of our officers was struck multiple times and was immediately evacuated and transported to a local area hospital for further medical treatment. After being evaluated by medical personnel at the hospital, he's going to be recovering from his injuries. Upon further investigation, it was determined that this whole incident stemmed from a domestic dispute between a boyfriend and girlfriend at the location, which escalated to the boyfriend shooting the female victim. DeKalb police SWAT team made entry to the location, emergency evac to get the female out of the location, and she was discovered to be shot and in critical condition. Upon being loaded into the ambulance by medical personnel, she succumbed to her injuries and she's deceased at the scene. Per our protocol involving officer-involved shootings, The Georgia Bureau of Investigation has been notified, and they are en route to the scene to handle the officer-involved shooting, and the DeKalb Homicide Unit will handle the homicide at the scene.
Where do things stand with trying to track down the suspect?
The suspect is at large at this time. We are working to identify him, and he's at large at this time.
Another huge story developing tonight, folks. A search for an armed and dangerous gunman.
And there's a $10,000 reward out there for information leading to his arrest. Otis Walker is accused of killing his girlfriend and shooting DeKalb County police officer Derek Nunn. This all started overnight when police found a woman in critical condition inside a home on Hodgson Corners Cove. She died at the scene.
Now, the officer is expected to be okay. The GBI is investigating this scene. And the Crime Stoppers Atlanta is now asking anyone who spots Walker to call 911.
Breaking news this morning, a murder suspect on the run for a week, now captured. Otis Walker, wanted for killing his girlfriend and shooting a police officer multiple times, is in custody, tracked down in Lithonia last night. The DeKalb County Sheriff's Office fugitive unit arresting him. Police say Walker killed Aleka Simmons in a domestic dispute. DeKalb County police officer Derek Nunn was injured in a shootout with Walker. The officer still recovering and expected to be okay.
A fugitive squad is searching for the man accused of murdering his girlfriend and then shooting an officer. 27-year-old Otis Walker has been on the run for nearly 48 hours now. Channel 2's Tom Jones is live in DeKalb County, where the best friend of the murder victim says that she wishes that she would have done more to help out. Tom?
Yeah, Craig, Aleka Simmons' best friend says that she was trying to leave her abusive boyfriend, Otis Walker. She thinks that's what sparked the violence in this home where Simmons was murdered and an officer shot.
I just feel sick to my stomach. Like, I can't get no rest. I just keep thinking about her.
Ashley Hill keeps thinking about her best friend, Aleka Simmons, thinking how she told her over and over to leave her abusive boyfriend, Otis Walker.
She would say, I love him. I don't want to leave him like everybody else leave him.
Police say Walker murdered Simmons in his home on Hodgson Corner Cove early Thursday morning. Officers say he then shot responding officer Derek Nunn. Hill wishes she had done more to get Simmons to leave.
It's been eating me up. She don't deserve that. Like, she was a good person.
Walker's neighbor says it was Simmons who kept up the chaos in the relationship. Tammy Gresham wonders if Walker had had enough.
And I know you was trying to get away from her, and she kept bothering you.
But Hill says Walker was so abusive, Simmons had him arrested recently. Her anger didn't last long.
He got arrested and everything, and she went and bailed him out.
Hill gave me this picture where Simmons posted on social media Wednesday, thankful for life no matter how hard life may seem. Some 13 hours later, she was dead, and Walker on the run. Hill wants this to be a lesson for others in violent relationships.
If a person put his hands on you, he doesn't love you.
And Officer Nunn is recovering in the hospital. Walker did recently bond out of jail on a family violence charge. Police say he is armed and dangerous. If you happen to see him, call police. We're live in DeKalb County. Tom Jones.
What followed was a citywide manhunt. Authorities issued an urgent warning, telling residents that Otis Walker was armed, volatile, and extremely dangerous. Patrol units flooded the area, helicopters circled overhead. Schools, businesses, and neighborhoods across Lithonia and surrounding parts of DeKalb County were placed on alert. A $10,000 reward was announced for information leading to his capture. For more than a week, Walker remained on the run. Each day that passed without an arrest added to the fear. People checked their doors twice. Parents kept children inside. Every unfamiliar car became suspicious. Law enforcement released Walker's photo repeatedly, urging the public not to approach him under any circumstances. And still, he evaded capture. Then, on August 8, 2019, 9 days after Aleka Simmons was killed, the manhunt came to an end. Otis Walker was spotted at a gas station in Lithonia, Georgia, just miles from the apartment where Aleka had lost her life. Officers moved in quickly. This time, there was no shootout, no chase, no resistance. He was taken into custody without incident.
On the run for more than a week, a suspected killer is behind bars and set to face a judge this afternoon. Otis Walker faces multiple charges, including felony murder for killing his girlfriend and shooting a police officer. Joe Hinkie is live at the DeKalb County Jail, where Walker will go before a judge today. Joe, the trick here, he was on the run for a week. How did police finally catch up with him?
Well, Christy, this case is very dramatic, but the arrest, not so much. Police simply received a tip and they found the 27-year-old only a few blocks away from where the August 1st shooting took place. They arrested Walker without incident at a gas station in Lithonia. That arrest took place on Thursday. Walker is now here at the DeKalb County Jail. He's expected to go before a judge for his first appearance at 1 p.m. this afternoon. Walker is charged in this case with felony murder and accused of shooting and killing his girlfriend, Aleka Simmons, and also charged with aggravated assault after police say he then shot three DeKalb officers. DeKalb police tell us he hit one officer. Officer Derek Nunn was shot but is recovering at home. Yesterday we heard from police about the arrest and also the domestic violence part of this case.
It will not be tolerated in DeKalb County. The shooting of a victim is wrong. The shooting of a police officer is wrong. It will not be tolerated, and we will waste no resources in bringing you into custody.
And when Walker was listed as a wanted man here in DeKalb County, police put up a $10,000 reward for information leading to his arrest. We are told the tip that did lead to Walker's arrest came in through Crime Stoppers, and that person should be receiving that reward. As far as that 1 o'clock court appearance this afternoon, we're planning to have a camera there, Christy. We'll have any updates this afternoon on 11alive.com and also tonight on 11 Alive News at 6 o'clock.
All right, always good idea to have our app too, so you can get those immediate alerts. Thanks a lot, Joe.
But when officers searched him, they found something that chilled even seasoned investigators: a handwritten apology. The note was addressed to Officer Derek Nunn and the DeKalb County Police Department. There was no apology for Aleka, no acknowledgement of the woman whose life had been taken, no words for her children, no remorse for the devastation left behind. That silence spoke volumes. In the years that followed, the case crawled through the legal system. Motions were filed, hearings were delayed, families waited. And while Aleka's loved ones carried their grief every day, Walker prepared his defense. He claimed the shooting was self-defense. He claimed Aleka had threatened him. He claims that when he fired at police officers, he wasn't trying to kill them, that he was trying to force them to kill him instead. But the evidence told a very different story. Prosecutors presented forensic findings that dismantled his narrative piece by piece. Ballistics analysis showed deliberate aim. Shot trajectories confirmed officers were directly targeted, not fired upon accidentally or at the ground. Eyewitness testimony contradicted his version of events. The sequence of shots, the number of rounds fired, and the injuries sustained left no room for ambiguity. This was not panic. This was not confusion. This was not self-defense. It was escalation. The jury heard about the history of violence, the repeated domestic calls, the warning signs that had been documented long before that night. And they heard the 911 call, the one that captured Aleka's fear in real time, hours before she was killed. When deliberations ended, the verdict was unanimous. On November 8, 2023, more than 4 years after Aleka Simmons was murdered, Otis Dennis Walker was found guilty on all counts: malice murder, felony murder, 3 counts of aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. The sentencing that followed was definitive: life in prison plus an additional 65 years.
At 4 o'clock, a Lithonia man convicted of murder and shooting an officer will spend the rest of his life behind bars, we've learned. Otis Walker has been sentenced to life plus 65 years for killing his girlfriend, Aleka Simmons. Now, he also fired at officers as they responded. This happened inside a home in Lithonia in 2019. Jurors found Walker guilty of multiple charges, including felony murder and 3 counts of aggravated assault of a law enforcement officer.
A sentence that ensured Otis Walker would never walk free again. A ruling that acknowledged not just the loss of Aleka's life, but the danger he posed to everyone around him. For the court, it was the end of a case. For Aleka's loved ones, it was the closest thing to justice they would ever receive. But no sentence, no matter how long, could undo what had already been taken. But the impact of Aleka's death did not end with a guilty verdict. Her killing exposed the dangerous gaps that exist when repeated warning signs are treated as routine instead of urgent. Multiple 911 calls, prior arrests, a documented pattern of escalating violence, a victim asking, on a recorded line, if she was about to be killed, and still the system failed to interrupt the trajectory before it turned fatal. Aleka did what victims are told to do. She called for help, she tried to de-escalate, she leaned on family, she attempted to leave, and yet none of it was enough to stop a man whose history made his violence predictable. In the aftermath, Aleka's case reignited conversations about domestic violence response, bail decisions, and the responsibility of law enforcement to ensure direct contact with victims during high-risk calls. Advocates pointed to her story as a stark reminder that escalation is rarely invisible. It is often documented, reported, and dismissed until it's too late. And while Otis Dennis Walker will spend the rest of his life behind bars, Aleka's story stands as something far more important than a conviction. It stands as a warning, it stands as a record, and it stands as a reminder that when someone says they are afraid, the cost of not listening can be irreversible.
Afternoon, just woke up, getting ready to move in my new house. My house. I'm 23 and it's mine. Okay, we'll go upstairs. This is my bathroom. Nothing in it yet.
What do you think about it? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this one.